Legacy has stated, we are still here at NRDC and we are just right inside the stand of United Capital Fertilizer Zambia Company Limited, and we're talking more about fertilizer. I think the two gentlemen, Mr. Mark and Mr. Dexter, did fill us in on what the company is about, what it does, and what it wants to reach, and some of the things that it's doing for the country, but also for Africa at large, because they're producing for so many other countries. But joining me right now is Mr. Banda Akwa Sukumawa. You know, the Bandas, the Piris, farming is our thing. And he happens to be United Capital Fertilizer Zambia Company Limited. He happens to be the lab manager, and we should be getting into it a little bit more. But I'd like to welcome you to the show, Mr. Banda.
Thank you so very much.
I'm really excited to talk to you because every time we see finished products, it's almost like it looks like an easy process. It looks like something that anyone can do. But I wanted to find out what does it take to actually produce or come up with the complete product of fertilizer.
Well, coming up with a product of fertilizer, it's more or less like cooking in Shima. It's a process whereby you need what we call raw materials for making that particular brand that you want to make. For example, if you want to make D compound, it means you have to have those raw materials that will help you in making D. Meaning those compounds have to have nitrogen, they have to have phosphorus, they have to have muriate of potash or potash itself, and then sulfur. When you combine these in the right ratios, then you make what we call D compound. The whole point is that you have to have a fertilizer that is going to satisfy crop requirement. A crop is like a human being. It needs nutritious food. It needs nutritious elements for it to grow well or to give you better yields. So only when you make a quality product like our compound D from United Capital Fertilizer are you going to have that.
Beautiful stuff. I mean, one of the things that I got really excited about when I was having a chat with Mr. Dexter and Mr. Mark,
exactly,
was one of the things that they did get mentioned was the soil testing. Now they stated that it's not every compound D specific soils that demand a specific fertilizer and all those things. But I wanted to find out first, let's talk about the soil testing.
Soil testing, yeah. Soil testing is simply a way of finding out what nutrients are in the soil. You see, naturally, there are elements in the soil that are supposed to aid crop growth. Now, the only problem is that they are not in adequate amounts. So we add this by adding the artificial or conventional fertilizers that we apply in the soil so that we have the right amounts to satisfy a crop. Now, when you do a soil test, it means you are investigating to say what elements are in short supply in the soil. How acidic is my soil? So at the end of the day, you're going to answer the questions to say, if they are the elements that are not enough, then in your fertilizer, you're going to put those elements so that you have adequate amounts. If the soils are acidic, you're going to tell a farmer to say, can you apply lime so that the acidity goes? This is the way it works. If the elements are actually in high amounts, it means they are toxic, and it means that can harm the crop. It means the fertilizer that you are supposed to apply should not contain those because they already are in the soil. So at the end of the day, it's a question of balancing out what is in the soil, what the crop wants, and then you give the soil the difference so that it gives the crop. That's the way it works.
In case you are just joining us, I'm chilling with the Aguru Akwasu, Mr. Banda, who happens to be United Capital Fertilizer Zambia Company Limited lab manager, and we're just catching up with more of what United Capital Fertilizer Zambia does and what it's doing for the country when it comes to just giving them the right fertilizer for their right crops. But do you charge?
No, as of now, yes. If anything, we're trying to work out something that is going to work for all Zambians. It's going to be costly for us to formulate a fertilizer for individual farmers. So rather, the strategy that we want to adopt is whereby we say, okay, how is Region 1, for example? How is Region 2? How are the benchmark soil samples, soils there? What is common about these soils? What is lacking in these soils? And then we formulate a fertilizer fertilizer that will be specific for that region. Then it's going to work. Unless for commercial farmers whom we know can buy our fertilizer in large quantities, then we can actually formulate for them. But what we are saying is that, you see, farming now is not a gamble. It's a business. You have to know what you're putting in the soil for you to get, good yields. These varieties of, seed, the seed varieties of maize that you have a potential of giving you up to 10 tons, some of them. But you see what you're getting, 4 or 5 tons. Why is that? Even when management is good, we are not getting the proper, yields. Nowadays, there's this problem of climate change. It even worsens the situation. So all what we are saying as United Capital Fertilizer is that a farmer has to follow the rules of the game, follow conservation agriculture to the letter, and then you find that he's going to get the best out of his effort. We are saying, test your soils first, know what is lacking in your soil, put in the right fertilizer, then you are okay. Our fertilizer, even if it's decompound and urea, as of now, we are yet to reach that stage. In fact, in the very near future, in fact, before the end of the year, we're going to be making specialized fertilizers for things like maybe vegetables, for crops like sorghum and things like that. But as of now, because the pressure was to supply FISIP and, and the like, we're just making decompound. But right now, the machinery is in to make other specialized fertilizers. So you'll be satisfied with what we're making at UCF.
As a Zambian who obviously loves Akawali and the vegetables and everything else, I'm really excited. I can't wait for that to come through. But as we come to an end, I would like to know also, can the fertilizers be used in every crop?
Yes. You see, this is the point of soil testing, because you want to know how much to add in the soil. So whether it's decompound, you will make calculated amounts to add to that particular crop. If it is, for example, maize, you know that maize requires so much nitrogen, you give it that kind of nitrogen from the decompound. So it doesn't matter what crop. But of course, there are those crops that might require certain elements. Like, for example, cotton, it needs boron. Now, decompound has no boron. So these are some of the things that, that excites you when you're talking about soil testing, because you know exactly what you're going to give it. So if somebody is growing cotton and he comes to me and say, Mr. Banda, can I use D? I'll tell him, say, yeah, use D, it will give you the NPK. But for boron, can you use Soluban or something like that? This is how it balances out, sir. And believe me, there's no problem. You can use decompound as a basal drains for most of these crops, but also for leafy vegetables, you can even use it as a top dress. It works. Of course, you can use urea, but I'm saying that this is just leafy vegetables. They just need vegetative growth, so you can use decompound, no problem.
I mean, your last words to someone who's wishing they could have been a
exactly.
farmer. Your last words to them, those people that are dreaming of even starting farming, and yeah.
For me, I would love to urge farmers to do one thing. The most sensible thing is for them not to waste money anyhow. Know what you're putting in your soils. Put the economical rates of fertilizer in your soil, and just like when you, for example, you have malaria, you go to a doctor. The doctor will first test your blood. Is there a parasite of malaria? Only then is he going to prescribe quinine or Fancida or Coartem. So the same applies. If you're going to test your soils, it's going to open doors for you for larger yields. It's going to open doors for you for healthy crops and everything, because you're not going to do some guesswork. Remember, what we are using in this country mostly is what we call blanket recommendations, whereby we've been told to say apply 1 bag of D per lima. Lima, by the way, means low input management area. So it was emphasized that a farmer should apply 1 bag of D and 1 bag of urea per 50 by 50. So for 4 limas, it comes to 4 up, 4 down. That's how the 4 up, 4 down came about. But we are not supposed to follow that, because we're strictly supposed to follow what the soil testing results will tell us. Thank you so very much.
Tell you what, I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Banda. And if you're just joining us, we should be crossing back to the studio. I've been talking to Mr. Banda, who happens to be the United Capital Fertilizer Zambia Company Limited lab manager, and he's really given us a full detail of what we need to know. We are broadcasting live, obviously, from the National Agriculture Mechanization Strategy right here at NRDC, and this is where everything else is happening. I want to say thank you, Mr. Banda.
Cheers, thank you so much.
Thank you. Back to you in studio.